What is Fathers Anonymous? What does it look like to you? What's your vision, or just what do you think it can be for others? However you want to answer that question, what is Fathers Anonymous?
So currently within the the parenting arena, if you will, with different organizations, all struggling to make a change. Um, I think oftentimes we don't necessarily focus on the members, right? The people that are the reason why we're here, to include ourselves. We're either pushing for legislation or we're pushing for change in society or whatever. We're not we're not utilizing our greatest asset. Our greatest asset is the majority of the people that are a part of this struggle. Um, it was very clear to me what was needed one time when I was with the Washington State Fathers' Rights Movement. And I held a rally, and I've been pushing this rally in Olympia for a bill signing. Like it was in January or something like that when the new session kicked up. And we had about, I don't know, about 15, 20 people show up. I was expecting more, but we had 15, 20 people show up. We had an individual show up who he's a freelance videographer, or he may have been working for an agency at the time, but he did a video for us and he did interviews with people, and they talked about their story. I think the video's somewhere up on one of the sites as well. Um, but the stories that we were hearing and the heartache and the pain that was being shared, um, it needed to be shared, but in a legislative chamber or a in a construct of society, what the person wasn't ready yet to share that story. The pain was too real. It was still too new. It was still too close. I don't think we do a good enough job of helping those people process that change and process that pain and help them navigate through the turmoil that is going to wreck us all. And he told his story, and it was, I wasn't a lot of footage that we could have used because it was kind of incoherent, because it was just emotions popping up, and I remembered how that felt, being able to talk my story out and in the beginning stages. Um, Even still now, I mean, the emotions pop up when I tell my story. Um, and so trying to help people process that and deal with that, not as you need to do this here, do this, do this, do this, and it'll all work out for you. But to be able to say, look, tell me your story. Don't hold it in. Let it out, right? Cry if you need to. I'm a safe person. This is a safe space to say that in. I'm not going to give you advice. I'm just going to let you tell your story. I'm going to tell my story. Take from it what you will. David's going to tell his story. Take from it what you will, right? And in our shared pain, we're not looking for people to fix things for us. We're just looking to find a connection. And it ultimately, I think that's what the backbone of who we're going to be is that we are here to help the people feel safe in dealing with their emotions, to help them navigate through that by showing them how we navigated through it. We're going to look to them to support us while we flash back on some of it as well. Um, we're going to try and, provide tangible support to them when they need it. Um, maybe they're, in the process of getting, I don't know how it would be, but let's say, they need a new car seat or something to kind of help with that, to build a community, a family, um, a family you can choose, that you get to choose, just like I got to choose, right? Or I got to choose, whatever proper grammar that is. But it's a family you can choose. It doesn't, it's not your blood family that is going to be there or not, depending on your family situation. But it's someone who will be able to say, "Hey, that's my brother over there," or "That's my sister over there." And one of the reasons why we called it Fathers Anonymous and we put the fathers in there is because it we need to know that fathers are central to this issue. Um, too many times things get homogenized, or that it wants to be dumbed down. Not it gets dubbed to a parental thing. And let's have some clarity and some understanding that yes, fathers are a key role. It's not to say that we're exclusive to fathers, because like I said, there are mothers out there. My mom was one. um, my sister is another one. Well, both my sisters, and uh, my girlfriend has issues with parents. um, so it's my son's mother has some issues as well, and I think she would benefit from the type of stuff that we're trying to do and that we're going to put forward. I mean, it's not exclusive to fathers, and I know that there are going to be some individuals that are still in that hurt and that anger, to where everybody, kind of MGTOW-ish, in that regards. MGTOW, for those that don't know, is men go their own way. Um, that are just anti-women in every respect. But we want to help them as well to say, okay, it's not, your feelings are valid. To validate their feelings and to say, I understand that you're feeling that way, and to let them say their piece and get it off the chest. And maybe in doing so, some of that venom will leave. You did talk about the cup runneth over, but no one ever says what's in the cup. I tell people all the time, how you doing? "Oh, I'm living the dream, one nightmare at a time." No one said it was a good dream, right? It's a dream. Could be a nightmare for some of us. Could be the pleasantest dream ever. You could have your cup runneth over with happiness or poison. And so we want to help, start diluting that poison that people's cups runneth over on. And so, that's one of our biggest desires. And it's always been my desire to help people help themselves. I don't have enough time and energy to hold everybody's hand and walk them through it. I don't. I'm one person. All I can do is tell my story, and hopefully that resonates with someone. Even if they just watch it one time and they're like, "This guy's full of, malarkey." Maybe a nugget will fit in there to, fall into their ear, and they'll be like, "You know what? I remember this guy Joe saying this, and I'm gonna try this." And who knows? It'll work for them. It won't work for them. Who knows? Um, my way is not the only way. Um, you know, everybody experiences pain differently, and we're all in different stages of our pain. Um, we one thing we can't do is we can't do comparative suffering. We can't say, well, you see your son every other week, right? So you have no idea how I feel because I don't get to see my kids. We can't do that because it still sucks for me, right? And it sucks for you. I I'm not going to say that. You can't diminish what I'm going through because of the stuff that, you're going through, just because it's not the same, or it's not as severe. I'm not alienated, so I don't know what I'm talking. I still know how it felt to go through the courts and be looked at the way that I was. I still know what it was like when I couldn't see him for 2 years. I still know what that feels like. Yeah, it's been a long time, but I still know. And so we can't say, oh, well, you don't have as big a stake in this because of this or this or this, because then you're comparing, pain, and we can't compare pain. We have to realize that everybody's in pain. I'm in pain. David's in pain. Our pain is pain. And that's the only similarity, is that it is painful for us. And I think that's the biggest issue that's facing all of this, this arena, is that there's a lot of comparative suffering that's going on. And I want to try and help people change that by listening to them and understanding them and helping them understand themselves. And in doing so, we'll make better advocates for people that want to go and create a positive change.
What I hear, the metaphor that I hear when I ask, what is Fathers Anonymous? I hear you saying Fathers Anonymous is like a field surgeon or a field medic, in like war or something like that. And make no mistake, I mean, I think if you're here, you already know it feels like war. Um, but people are just getting left and right of you, just getting shot on the field, and nobody's nobody's giving the medical treatment. They're just like, everybody's saying, up, nope, just keep going forward. But it's like, we're leaving we're leaving good soldiers here, and they're fine. And this is, they could completely recover if we just give them a little help, just a little help, and they would be fine. But for some reason, we're ignoring them, and when we have no reason to ignore them, we're just going to keep going forward with what we think is the right thing or the best thing. To hell with them, I guess. And so, to continue on that analogy, on your comparative suffering thing, it's like, well, if the guy is a field medic, like, he's not going to say, well, that guy got shot in the shoulder, so I'm not going to treat him because, you know, he'll probably be okay, but this guy's missing a leg, like, I'll take care of him and I'm not going to really ever worry about this other guy. It's like, no, they both need medical attention, like, so his wound could get infected, like he could also die, like, and I mean, maybe that's a little bit macabre of an example, but I mean, I feel like it's a solid metaphor for it.
Now, I would say that's, if I could, I think that that's a little bit too extreme of a metaphor,
I'm
right?
so extreme.
That's true. Yeah. Um. So I would say it's even more so uh the platoon, right? To use the battlefield analogy, right? The platoon and the squads and the fire teams that anybody that's in the military is familiar with. You know, if the doc's not there, guess what? The team's going to take care of them, right? The doc's only one person, right? Your medic or your corpsman or whatever the heck they are. Um, and when your buddy gets shot, right, you suppress the fire and also get them out of the way. You lay down covering and fire to move them out of harm's way. You're not just going to let them sit there and keep getting shot, right? They're going to try and get out of the way as much as possible. You're still going to try and, once you've kind of got them in a safer spot, still attack downrange. But if the doc's with dealing with somebody else, you're going to apply a tourniquet, you're going to apply a compress, you're gonna check them over if they've just got blasted by a grenade. You're gonna check them over and be like, yeah, you're good to go, right? Even if they got shrapnel in them, you're still gonna, yeah, you're good, get up, let's go, right? We're not just gonna say, oh, they got hit by shrapnel from a grenade, see ya, buddy. Um, I think the triaging and all that other stuff that's more specific to the medical field is probably left for professionals. Um, yeah, your doc is probably going to be, the one that's right there with you every in day to day life. The other one's going to be like, you sprain your ankle while you're on a, at, morning exercise. They're gonna be like, yeah, just don't walk out. You don't need to go see the doctor, right? Just, take it easy a couple days, right? Get back, I'll check up on you. Um, but they're also going to be the guy that, is going to be, trying to get your aortic, or trying to, your femoral artery, not your aorta, you bleed out instantly, but, or pretty close, femoral artery. They're the ones that are going to be digging in your leg while you're in pain, trying to clamp that thing, until they can get you to a doctor or put a tourniquet on you until, you can get to a doctor, right? Or they're going to give you an IV until you can get to a doctor. And the doctor's the one's going to open you up and do all that stuff. I'm not trying to say we're going to be head shrinks or anything like this. Um, Maybe there's some people that have some background in it that are probably a little bit more familiarized, which could do like the play the role of the doc or the medic or the corpsman. Um, but other than that, I think a lot of it's just the team itself, trying to take care of our guys, and get them bandaged up enough to, hey, we're kind of getting some stuff thrown at us right now. I need you to, buckle up, right? You're good. Watch your sector, right? Keep rounds going downrange, stuff like that, and still be proactive, right? Don't just stand there and say I'm shot, I can't do anything, right? Grab your weapon and hold the sector, right? Keep throwing rounds downrange.
Metaphorical weapon, by the way. My point of clarification.
Yes, and this is all metaphorical, but in the context of the military, that's what they would say. We're not asking anybody to do that right now. A metaphorical, watching your sector when it comes to the emotional trauma, right? And to watch your buddy's six, right, for the trauma that's going to come to him. And when he's getting beaten by the trauma, go over there and try and help him. Um, you know, not saying take the fight over for him and don't take that baggage onto yourself, but definitely, help if you can. Be there at least.
Well, I feel like this metaphor is going to be well used moving forward in another question that I have. But I was just thinking when you were saying that, like, I hear so often that it's like you don't know until you know. It's like I would have never imagined that this is how things would be. I never would imagine that, like you said. I mean, I'm going to go to court, and the truth will prevail, and justice will prevail. The right thing will work itself out. If I just stay the course and I'm honest and respectful and blah blah blah, everything will work out because I'm being honest. And but well, that's not how the world works, and that certainly does not seem how most family courts work. Um, but I just think to myself, like, well, how come it's that way? Like, how come you know how come I know a lot of other dads that maybe went through it, and I really didn't know their story, or I didn't know what it was like, and and how deep the hole would go. And it's like, now here I am in the middle of this metaphorical war, and I'm surprised that there are bullets flying. It's like, I I just I mean, it's almost a rhetorical question, but I'm baffled that here we are, men amongst other men in society, and it's like, nobody's watching out for their brothers, for their squad, like, you know, like, I'm not saying, and I certainly understand the MGTOW community. I have no resentments whatsoever towards that. Totally get it. Um, but I'm not saying, like, go out and just say, well, never get married, never have kids. Like, um, I'm not saying that's a bad thought either. I'm just saying I'm baffled at society, like the men alongside one another. We're not saying, hey, just let like, it's war, you know, the not doom and gloom, but it's war out there. And so I don't know.
I think also too is we have to be cognizant of muzzle discipline, right? Um, it, Anybody that has any concept of actual um, firearms knows that muzzle discipline is the most important key there is. Know where that thing's pointed, right? I think too many times that there's oftentimes either intentional or unintentional flagging, which is pointing the muzzle in an unsafe direction at a friendly target, I guess would be the correct way to say it, in just a shooting metaphor, um, or a fratricide, which is friendly on friendly uh, action. I think too many times we don't see that for what it is, and so it may be well intended, but it's still a flag, or it may be intentional flagging too. And when you do that, it destroys the trust within the community that's so fragile as it is, because
Well, we're all
we
trying to tiptoe on the definitions of who we are that, like we're being told who we are. And so we're just trying to walk on eggshells.
well, and it's not even that. It's there's a fragile trust, because what is more secure than the family, the nuclear family, right? What is more sacred than that? And with that, trust is shattered. It puts cracks in the foundation of everything you know. And so, uh, being as that we are mistrustful at this point, when we start, know, unintentionally or intentionally flagging each other, and creating friendly fire incidents, it definitely you know definitely destroys the trust that you know has already been made or not. And so it's you have to be aware of that. And I think a lot of people out there, like I said, have done this, and whether or not they intended to or not, um, that's why you have such division. And I think what Fathers Anonymous is trying to aim for is that, you know, I don't care where you come from or what organization you are with or whatever. We're here to help you. And we're here to just, we're here to listen and to give you a hug when you need it, right? That's what we're here to do. We're not looking for the guts and glory. We're not looking for our name and lights. That's why we're anonymous. Um, and we want to help people. And knowing that it's going to put us in harm's way as far as the flagging aspect, the flagging metaphor, we understand that. But that's a part of the healing process, because people's trust has been broken and people are defensive. And a lot of times with that hurt and that anger, that defensiveness comes out in, violence of action, if you will, in the metaphorical emotional side of things, or in the metaphorical, but the literal emotional side of things. So we want to make sure that, we're all aware that the pain is there, the hurt's there, and, people are going to say the things that they're going to say, but that's because they're getting it off their chest and they're trying to go through that trauma. And we have to be willing to take those, to allow them to say it, right? We don't have to let it stick to us. We just have to allow them to say it and say, okay, now what are you going to do? What, how are you going to get through this?